In this video, I'm going to show you the top 3 rules I have for selling sports cards, and this video will single-handedly save you years off your life if you're looking to make money with sports cards. Even though these 3 rules are simple, I did not learn them all until I was 5 years into my sports card journey. And if you don't know who I am, hi, my name is Eric Michael. I've sold over $5 million in sports cards. I've been very fortunate. Sports cards just changed my life, and I own a multiple 7-figure coaching program that teaches people how to use sports cards to make a predictable and safe income, because I truly believe in my heart of heart that sports cards is the best, easiest way to make an extra few $1,000s a month on the side, which is life-changing money. But nonetheless, let's get into it. I'm going to share with you the top 3 rules for selling sports cards. But before I get into it, it is important to note that selling is a lot easier than buying, okay? If you buy the correct cards at the right time, selling should come easier. That's why if you watched any of my videos, 90% of them are on buying cards, when to buy, how to negotiate, all that stuff, because that's much harder. Once you do all that stuff correct, selling comes easier, okay? So keep that in note. If you have cards that you just completely cannot sell for whatever reason, actually not whatever reason, there's 2 reasons. There's only 2 reasons ever you have cards that won't sell. Either A, they're overpriced. No one's gonna buy a card for $400 if it only sells for $300. I can't tell you how many sports card shows I go to. Like I was just at one in St. Petersburg, Florida, and one card of a Wyatt Langford Bowman Chrome 2023 auto, PSA 10, sold for $272. That was the last sale. And this guy wanted $300. I literally told him I'll give you $270. He wanted $300. He will never be able to sell that card, ever, right? Who's gonna pay 20% over what something sells for? Okay, that's number 1. And number 2, you're just buying stuff nobody wants, right? There's certain cards that are more liquid than others, and if you're buying assets that aren't liquid, no one's really gonna want them, right? It's kind of like buying a piece of real estate in an area nobody wants, right? Good luck selling it, okay? So those are the 2 reasons you are having trouble selling cards. Only one of those 2. Let's get into my top 3 rules for selling sports cards. And rule number 1, and this is the simplest one, but it just goes over everybody's head. Rule number 1 is selling below comps. What a comp means is just a recent sale. So if I say, hey, the last comp of this card was $300, that means the last sale of this card was $300. And this is what most people do in sports cards. Just like that Wyatt Langford example I just showed you, most people are greedy and want every single last penny, okay? If they buy a card for $100 and they get it graded and now it's worth $250, 95% of people just want every last penny. They want to get all that $250. But I'll tell you why that's actually wrong and why that's actually costing you money. Number 1, if you have a card that you bought for $100, you got it graded, and now it's worth $250, if you try to sell it for $250 or $260 or $270, which a lot of people will do, it's going to take you a lot longer to sell. That is money tied up, right? If you just go on Facebook or eBay and sell it for $235, $230, it'll sell right away. I try to sell cards around 90% of the last sale. And not only did you sell that card quicker, and now you have cash to take and reinvest, but you build connections, which is my second point I'm going to get into. And people actually begin to like you, and you build the reputation of that guy that's actually fair, which guess what? It just makes your life easier because you're able to sell more cards quicker. So just think about this for a second. I'll leave you off with this for the rule number 1. If you have a card for $250, it is better to sell it for $230 today than $250 and a month from today, because there's something called the present value of money, and that money is worth more to you today than an extra $20 would be in 2 months, because you could take that money today and reinvest and repeat this process of buying, grading, and selling before this card ever goes up, or before you're able to sell it for $250, okay? So it's just an opportunity cost. It's something called present value of money. Not to get too complicated, but that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, which builds off of rule number 1, and rule number 3 builds off of rule number 2, is building connections, right? You got rule number 1, now you're selling cards for slightly below value, and sounds simple, but people don't do it. Get people's contact information, okay? People always ask me, where's the best place to sell cards? It's like the most common question. Where can I sell my cards? Where can I sell my cards? Where can I sell my cards? And the answer is like eBay and Facebook, but the actual best answer is the contacts and people you already know. A lot of the time when I go and sell cards, because I've saved everybody's information, I'm just able to text people, hey, you want this card of Shohei Ohtani? Hey, you want this card of Jalen Hurts? And they just Venmo me or Cash App or Zelle me all the money. I don't have to pay any fees. And a lot of the time, I'm able to sell cards that I get back from grading before I even get them back from grading. It's frowned upon a little bit, but if people trust you and they know who you are, nobody's going to care. All right. So building connections is the best way to do it. Okay. The absolute best way to do it. If you ever heard the business expression, the power is in the follow-up, what that means, like in layman's term, is the power is in saving people's contact information and building connections. Okay. So do it. And over time, your life gets easier because you build more and more of these connections. So that's number 2. Number 3. So this builds off of the first 2, is understanding opportunity cost. Okay, so this kind of goes back to what I was talking about in rule number 1. Let's say you buy a card and it's, let's say you follow what I say, right? You buy stuff while it's low in the off season and you go and get it graded. If you don't know what grading a card means, it means you're sending it in to a company for it to be assessed on its condition. And if it grades well and it's in high quality condition, it'll go up in value. What you should be doing, if you're doing this process correctly, you should be buying football, for example, in March and April when it's low and selling it into the excitement and the hype of July and August and selling it before the season. But I'll challenge you with this. If you buy a card in March for $100 and it gets graded and now it's May and it comes back to you, and let's say it's worth $300 today, you have 2 options. You could either A, sell it for $300 today, or B, wait another 2 months till August and sell it for $400, right? Let's pretend you could predict the future and you know this card is going to go up $100 in value. What most people do who don't understand long-term money and don't understand what opportunity cost is they will go and wait for that card to go up in value, which is the smart move if you have a bigger budget. However, if holding that card is going to affect your buying budget, you should sell it today, because getting that $300 today, you can do more with that $300 and profit more than the $100 the card would go up in the next 2 months. Rather, if you just took the money and repeated, right? Buy cards, get them graded, and sell them. Now, if you have 20, 30, 50 grand laying around, you could just keep buying cards and you could hold them and make that extra 15 to 20% without it affecting your buying power. Hold it. If it's going to affect your buying power, don't hold it, because you're costing yourself money. All opportunity cost means is by taking this opportunity, you've costed yourself money rather than taking this opportunity, right? If I have two painting jobs I could do, and one of them is $100 and one of them is $200, if I picked the one that was $100, my opportunity cost was $100, because I should have picked the job that would have made me $200. Therefore, I cost myself $100. Okay, and all this stuff I'm saying sounds relatively simple. I hope I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, but it took me years to learn this stuff, and these little tactics really build up, and this is what really drives home a business and really what can make you money. But hopefully you found this video valuable. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message, DM, comment, or wherever, YouTube, Instagram. Hopefully this just made your life a little bit easier. And if you're new to sports cards, you could click the link around this video. It's probably in the YouTube description, and you can watch a training I put together. Shows you how I make money with sports cards. It takes 4 simple steps I've created from my system and breaks it down so any newbie could get going with it. But hopefully you found this video valuable. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.